Top government functionaries, captains of industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am immensely grateful to God who has preserved us to witness this day and this occasion. Today marks a triumph for Nigeria and an occasion to celebrate her freedom and cherish our democracy. Nigerians have shown their commitment to democracy and are determined to entrench its culture. Our journey has not been easy, but thanks to the determination of our people and strong support from friends abroad, we have today a truly democratically elected government in place. I would like to thank President Goodluck Jonathan for his display of statesmanship in setting a precedent for us that has now made our people proud to be Nigerians wherever they are. With the support and cooperation he has given to the transition process, he has made it possible for us to show the world that despite the perceived tension in the land, we can be a united people capable of doing what is right for our nation. Together, we cooperated to surprise the world that had come to expect only the worst from Nigeria. I hope this act of graciously accepting defeat by the outgoing president will become the standard of political conduct in our country. I would like to thank the millions of supporters who believed in us even when the cause seemed hopeless. I salute their resolve in waiting long hours in rain and hot sunshine to register and cast their votes and stay all night, if necessary, to protect and ensure their votes count and were counted. I thank those who tirelessly carried the campaign on the social media. At the same time, I thank our other countrymen and women who did not vote for us, but contributed to make our democratic culture truly competitive, strong, and definitive. I thank you all. Having just a few minutes ago sworn by the Holy Book, I intend to keep my oath and serve as president to all Nigerians. I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
Okay, it's no longer news again. The end of an era, as put by the Nigerian Tribune this morning, with that inaugural speech of former President Muhammadu Buhari on May 29, 2015. Welcome every one of us to another edition of From the Dailies on Solutions and 93.9 FM. My name is Ade Damola Lafenwa, and peradventure this is your first time on the program. This is where we get to take you through the front page stories of newspapers. And as usual, I have Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe live in the studio with me this beautiful Monday morning. A very wonderful morning to you, Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe.
Yes, a good morning to you, my dear comrade brother. And it's another Monday morning.
It's another Monday morning. And as expected, all the papers we have today talk about the end of an era, talking about the demise of former President Muhammadu Buhari. And looking at the account of the Nigerian Tribune, Buhari, end of an era, dies in London clinic at 82. Tinubu, Obasanjo, IBB, Jonathan, Atiku, Obi, others pay tribute. Shatima, Gbajabiamila to accompany cops back home. Flags to fly at half-mast for 7 days. Emergency fake old Tuesday. Tight security at his Kaduna home. And still looking at other papers that have things to say about Muhammadu Buhari, Tinubu ex-leaders gather for Buhari's burial in Daura today. Riders, ex-president dies in London hospital at 82. Shetima arrives with cups, national flags fly half-mast as Obasanjo governors lead tribute. A generous legacy, Buhari's march through history. That's the account of the Punch newspaper. And taking the account of the Vanguard newspaper, deluge of tributes as Buhari dies at 82. How he traveled to London, took ill, died. Tinubu orders Shetima to bring home Buhari's body from UK. Declares 7 days mourning. Summons emergency FEC meeting tomorrow. Obasanjo, IBB, Jonathan, Atiku, Osinbajo, Akpabio, Obi, governors. Others pay tribute. That is found on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this Monday morning. And looking at the front page of the Guardian newspaper, tributes, reflections on legacy as Buhari bows out at 82. The man is legacy, policies, health, and controversies. And with that account of the Guardian newspaper, that is what we'll be starting with on the program this morning. Comrade, the man has finally gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember during his first term in office as the democratically elected president, there were rumors then that he had passed on. And but before we come to the Buhari as the politician, let's talk about Buhari as a military man. I mean, looking back in the history of Nigeria, he was a gallant soldier. You can't take that away from him. And I read quite a number of books and talking about the different military coups we've had in the country. And there were some that he played vital roles in some of the coups. And he waited patiently for his time the last day of the year 1983, December 31st. It was a beautiful Friday morning, December 31st, 1983, when he did his own coup. And I can always remember that speech given by later Brigadier General Sonny Abacha then. You know, it was Abacha that came on to announce the takeover. Now, let's talk about the man, Muhammadu Buhari, from his military days.
Well, I think he came into prominence when he became a GOC. No, he came into prominence when he became a Minister of Petroleum Resources. And then he subsequently became a governor of Northeast or something like that. And then, when the civilians came in 1979, he ended up being the GOC of the division that is located in Rukuba, Jos. That's the 3rd division, I guess. Yeah, that's the 3rd division. And it should be recalled that in the early 80s or thereabout, Nigeria had a conflict with Niger. And it was under his, that territory was under his command. And without waiting for any orders from the presidency, he went after those people, crossed Nigeria's borders, and they still pursued them even into Niger until, orders came from Lagos.
That was why I said he was indeed a gallant military officer.
Exactly. So, and they just would do his men, and then, of course, the political leaders knew that they had to be careful with the military, that they were simply doing their job. You understand?
Yes.
Those were times commanders knew what to do. They didn't refer to headquarters. They didn't refer to the chief of army staff.
And they never waited for the C&C.
I'm the general
to give
officer commanding.
orders.
And I have everything it takes to execute. I have a mandate. So just to notify it. So, and then, of course, it was still in Jos. It was GOC in Jos until they executed the coup of December 31st, 1983. I remember Arono Adamu, that he later brutally dealt with, said that Friday before, on that 31st evening was a Friday. I remember we were all moving between Ilorin and Lagos. And then they struck. He said he saw him at the mosque in Jos. If you're familiar with Jos, on Friday, they pray right in the middle of the road, where the central mosque is. So he said, Arono Adamu said, Buhari saw him at the mosque and snapped his finger at him. Buhari. So the following day, when Buhari came into the first press conference he held, and he was asked, so what about press freedom? You know they overthrew civilians. They started rounding them up and locking them up. They gave them jail term 70 years, 45
Actually,
years.
I remember there was a particular speech he gave immediately after, I said it was Sonny Abacha that announced the coup to Nigerians then. And after then, Buhari came up and he had a meeting that he said, and he gave reasons why the military struck and had to take over the government from the democratically elected government. Let's take a listen at what Buhari had to say, giving some of the reasons why they struck.
The conduct of the 1983 elections dashed that hope, since as I said before on another occasion, that election could be anything but free and fair. The Nigerian people were, therefore, limbered with a government whose suspect massive victory at the polls lulled it into a state of complacency. The planless, downright incompetence and irresponsibility which characterized the previous 4 years continued. Gentlemen of the press, the Nigerian armed forces could not stand idly by while this country was drifting towards a dangerous state of political and economic collapse through the continued ineptitude and insensitiveness of a political leadership who were apparently unwilling to change. It had a duty to intervene to clean up the economic mess and set this country once again on the path of sanity.
That was the voice of the Brigadier General Muhammadu Buhari, then giving reasons why they struck in 1983, taking over the government from the government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari.
Now, Damola, if you plant a seed, it will germinate, you will nurture it, and you see it grow. You will not be going there every day and it's like, you cannot go there every day and be checking it and touching it and all that. It's not going to grow number. So, okay, what happened between 1999 and now? Is it not worse than what happened in the days of Shagari? Why didn't they overthrow this current civilian administration? Because the matter don't, as they say, the matter don't cross, it don't cross road. Who wants to go and come and which military wants to come and manage this situation? You understand? You know, governance has left the place where, and they just want to be where they are and they are enjoying their profession. Wars are everywhere. They're fighting wars. They are engaged. No war is business. So,
but I remember, I still want us to focus now on its military administration then. Notable about some of the things he did was instituting war against indiscipline then, and a lot of Nigerians who were old enough to know what was happening knew that that government stood firmly against corruption.
Look, talking seriously about indiscipline, it's not by forcing people.
I remember why then, war against indiscipline.
It is not by soldiers running after
you were much
people.
older then, so let us paint the picture of what was happening. Some of us were young then, so we really didn't know. It is
not by catching people and flogging them and all of that you instill discipline. Discipline is something that is inculcated, in children as they grow, even as babies, not to talk of become toddlers. You understand?
What form was the Y?
They had Y brigade. They were catching people if you ease. Okay, look at Lagos now. Look at Marina, for instance. There are no public restrooms, and you're asking people not to ease themselves. People defecate. People ease themselves. I mean, because there is no, in such a hub, a major hub like that on Lagos Island, you understand? There's no provision of stuff like that. So they're not catching people, finding them. Look at what they did to politicians. And let me tell you, the first press conference he held, he was asked about press freedom. He said, no, I'm going to tamper with press freedom. I remember him for that. He said that they were an offshoot of Obasanjo administration that left in 1979 because Obasanjo practically gave them instruction that they should take out the Shehu Shagari regime. You understand?
Okay.
So, and before it was called the Buhari Diagbon regime because Diagbon was quite influential, if not powerful. It was the face of the administration.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it was the
they were
enforcer.
saying that Diagbon's face, he was the face of that administration then.
Yes, it was the face of the administration. He was the enforcer, and it was believed that he had the backing of Buhari 110%. So whatever Diagbon did, it was Buhari that was doing it. But it has later turned out, do you understand, that when we now came to this setting, that the box stops on the president's table, it's a constitutional matter, we are not sharing power, it became apparent that the man actually had a weakness. Yeah.
Even as a military head of state then.
But he didn't cover that gap.
Okay.
With the action and all of that. But do you know people say that during the Buhari era, as civilian president, the ministers were powerful. They just did what they liked. They were in charge and in control of the offices. And even when Buhari himself was not accessible, it wasn't as if he didn't want to be available. But the circumstances, age and everything, compelled him to slow down. And then illness came. So those people just took full charge of their locations, and they
are you talking about his days as a military head of state
as civilian?
Civilian. We are still coming to the civilian.
Idiagbon was supervising there. He was supervising. In fact, the governors reported to Idiagbon. So Buhari just stood like the godfather behind.
Idiagbon had control, total control.
He had significant control, and then all these jailing people 77 years and all of that.
For what offense then?
For offenses that were not known to the law books when they were allegedly committed.
Okay, because of our time.
They did a lot of they did a lot of retroactive legislation.
Okay, that's from the Dailies on Solutions in 93.9 FM, and we doing a tribute reflections on legacy as Buhari bows out at 82. The man, his legacy, policies, health, and controversies. Now, those were the days of his military time. I mean, his days in military as a military head of state. Now, let's move to when he became a refined Democrat, according to what he said himself. I mean, his journey into politics, the many attempts at the presidential seat, starting from, I think, 2011 or 2027 or thereabouts. So let's have your point on that, your views on that. His many attempts.
Yes, many attempts. Yesterday when the man died, I started reflecting that what was the purpose? Everything there must be a purpose, and nothing is purposeless. So I started reflecting, what was the purpose? This desire of Buhari to govern Nigeria.
That's why I said many attempts. He had that desire to come back.
And I started reflecting after the man died. So what was propelling this desire? You understand? And I asked that question because if it was a desire to make a difference, I didn't see that burning desire to make a difference. It was looking as if executing, getting that desire done was actually, getting to the office. Because you remember the issue of cabal every time.
Yes.
I was also reflecting on that this morning as I was coming, that did we have such a scenario so strong that we were always talking about cabal, whether during Obasanjo, during Yar'Adua. I think there was a cabal during the Yar'Adua era too. You understand? I think a cabal to emerge. So there was this cabal. People were talking about it. Everybody, top-ranking people, they said there was a cabal. The chief of staff was the head of the cabal then. The chief of staff that died. He was the one in charge. He was practically the one in charge of everything. So it made the man.
I remember the First Lady also came out and said that the cabal had taken over the asshole. I don't know how true that was, but we had this in circulation then that the First Lady came out and said that the government had been hijacked.
If the woman came out to say that the people that are running this government, we didn't see them before. She said that these are the people that campaign with us. These are not the people that ran the campaign, you understand? They allow the politicians to run the campaign. But Buhari being a towering figure, there's no way you can, a towering figure. So you see, people who control leaders, people who control people of significance, they know how to do it. The first thing is that they cut people who they know they can influence things that can be persistent and forceful enough, can change, can enforce things. They will keep them out of.
There were many insinuations that civilian rule then was being taken over by cabals. That cabals were the one that he lost control. He lost total control of the governance then.
I don't.
But
think
somebody, one of his spokespersons then, Garba Shehu, was on the live TV a few days ago, and he debunked the rumor that there were cabals in the government of Buhari then. Let's take this in Garba Shehu talking about the issue of cabals.
Cabal is just sheer nonsense. No, but let me tell you, Buhari is a military general, even when he became a converted Democrat. He was used to giving orders and not taking them from anybody. So I tell you that I have not known one person who will give you 100 assurance that when I tell Buhari ABC is black, he will say ABC is black. No. He had his own mind.
But there are family members who are part of the cabals who are living permanently in the villa.
No, you could have anybody around you. People can come, they can advise you. But the buck stopped on his table. I tell you that nobody can guarantee. Call any name, I will tell you. Nobody will tell you with certainty, 100%, that if I tell Buhari ABC, he will accept. That's not the Buhari who works.
Garba Shehu there on a live television program with Shehu Kimbaloye, addressing that issue of cabal in the government of Buhari then.
Damola, that is 110% loyalty on display. Buhari, dead or alive, that is 110% loyalty on display.
On the part of Garba Shehu.
I tell you, I have seen it. That's the way it goes at that level. It is loyalty all through. So
not necessarily a true reflection of what really transpired then?
Certainly not. I think, we're all human beings. We're not perfect. And the man also confessed about his pace and speed of governance, because he said, according to him, age had caught up somehow, and that has affected his pace. He virtually was telling us that Buhari of 1984 is not the Buhari you are getting now. In spite of the fact that was one of the cardinal reasons why he was viable. That was the number one viability reason for his candidature. This is Buhari, the incorruptible Buhari, the former minister of petroleum, who says there is no subsidy, and he must know because he has been Minister of Petroleum Resources before. So if he says subsidy is a scam, then subsidy must be a scam. So these were the selling points. Incorruptible. And when you see me, when this Buhari phenomenon started in 2014, I said, the only reason I asked was, what had Buhari added to himself between 1985 that he was ousted and 2014-15 that he was coming to run for president? What were his public engagements? Where did you see him? Did we see him, being a diplomat, or did we see him participating in whatever between then and now? No, we didn't. So I did not understand what he was bringing. That was not an endorsement of Jonathan. But you know the funny thing? Tinubu chose that path. Our current president chose that path because that was a path that guaranteed almost 100% his own ascension to power. those are power calculations.
Okay, before we leave that story too, there were many controversies as regards the health of Buhari then. I mean, we remember the case of Jibrin and everything. So many things played out that, he became critically ill at one point. We could see emaciated pictures of Buhari then, and he traveled out of the country. And all of a sudden, we had a much younger looking, robust looking man coming, which raised. I remember people were looking at spotting the shape of the nose, the shape of the ears, and everything. All those controversies surrounding this man's administration as a civilian president then. Let's talk about that too.
That was social media for you.
Now
that you have AI. Probably if it happened in the time of AI, it would have been way worse and more believable. You understand? I mean, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do such a thing, such a fast one on a whole country, a nation of 200 people. No. Even trying to keep Yaradua, you understand? Perpetually in control when they were saying the president can rule from anywhere. I mean, people took them on and said, stop that nonsense. Not to now talk of bringing, a copy. Come on. I mean, who does that?
Okay. President Buhari, you made mention of something earlier on saying that he was known as an incorruptible man. Now, let's analyze his, or let's do a kind of assessment of his 8-year term in office as regards corruption.
You see, the issue of corruption in Nigeria is beyond, it is a part of us now that I do not know how it ever can be expunged. You heard the chairman of ESPC speak a few days ago that they are just scratching the surface of the NNPC account, and they have found, I think the man called it mind-boggling corruption. And I found that they were just scratching the surface. He said they already found mind-boggling corruption. National Assembly is talking about 200 and something trillion. I mean, I couldn't wrap those figures around my head. 200 and something trillion unaccounted for, or a mix-up, or what? So, and all of this, he was one that appointed Mele Kyari. And the man, Koremanto, retained him until, corruption is embedded in our system. It's not an individual thing. The man said in his final interview, he said he fought corruption to the best of his ability based on the frameworks, the legal and structural frameworks.
But it was believed that under his watch, many people in position of authority, especially the ministers, we had Godin Emefiele, engaging in huge corrupt practices then under his watch, despite his incorruptible figure and reputation.
So they said of Shehu Shagari too, that Shehu Shagari was an incorruptible person, that a saint in the midst of robbers, you understand, sort of. Yes, Shehu Shagari was incorruptible. I mean, he had only one house in his village. They had to build a house for him in Sokoto when they were looking for him. There was a time when he left office, they said, where is the former president? They were looking for him. They had to go to his village, Shagari village. He had only a bungalow he had built since he was a teacher. They were embarrassed. They had to build a house for him in what do you call it? In the state capital. You understand? That is how incorruptible the man was. But how do you now preside over an administration of, a thieving administration? That says something, negative, not positive quality of leadership. A leader, what himself being called a leader. How do you sit and preside over? How do you preside over a corrupt administration? You understand? I mean, those things don't. There's something about you too negative. So that was what happened in the days of Shagari, and of course, similarly, it happened in the days of President Buhari, who personally is said not to be corrupt. Yes.
So the general assessment of his administration, 8 years administration then, and what will he be remembered for?
Muhammadu Buhari, just like General Obasanjo, he had the great opportunity of ruling as military head of state, and then coming back, elected twice by the same people. Obasanjo had played a significant role in Nigeria. Buhari too cannot be forgotten in his administration. The Buhari-Diagba administration cannot be forgotten. The way they did some mental psychological resets, for Nigerians, because they simply had to knock it. You understand? Like knocking it into our heads. They really had to knock it into our heads, And I think people got the message. You understand? People got the message that all these things, orderliness. That's one of the things that scares me in this part of the world. Orderliness. How can people not just be orderly? They had to force us to do that. And I think people, up to now, people still do that in Lagos. People kill. You understand? That has stuck with them in Lagos. People kill everywhere.
So you're saying Buhari's government brought orderliness?
I can tell you that. And, but some of the tactics they employed, when there was essential commodity crisis and all of that, they made provisions. And on its coming back, I will not forget the Electricity Act that freed, the generation, distribution, and transmission, or at least the generation and distribution end of power. And of course, the issue of, apart from the Electricity Act, I think there's a Railway Act too, that states can, do their rail lines. These are going to be these are critical infrastructure around the country. And I think the man maintained and kept a dignified. And I think that's a major thing. But, in the economy, General Obasanjo just said it, that he knew he might not be brilliant in that regard. And, that was a big gap. But, he did his bit.
Yes. Okay. And lots of people have thrown out their tribute, glowing tribute to the late former president. One of such, looking at the social media handle of former President Goodluck Jonathan, there is something he wrote last night, and I'd like to read it. It is with a heavy heart and profound sense of national loss that I received the news of the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died at the age of 82. The president was a notable leader, patriot, and elder statesman who served our beloved nation as both the military head of state and president to the best of his abilities. He will be remembered as a courageous leader, a disciplined officer, and a committed public servant who made considerable contributions towards the peace and progress of our dear nation. The late president was deeply admired across the strata of society for his decency, integrity, and exemplary life of service. As a leader, he was selfless in his commitment to his duty and served the country with character and a deep sense of patriotism. In his passing, Nigeria has lost one of its foremost leaders, and I have lost a respected colleague and elder. His legacy will continue to endure in the hearts of all who value sacrifice, integrity, perseverance, and devotion to national ethos. On behalf of my family and the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, I extend my heartfelt condolences to his immediate family, the good people of Katsina State, and all Nigerians who mourn this great loss. May Allah forgive his shortcomings, accept his good deeds, and grant him Jannatul Firdaus. Goodluck Ibele Jonathan there on his Facebook page. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo too said something about the passing of Muhammadu Buhari. Let's take a listen at OBJ.
It's with heavy heart that I received this afternoon the news of the passing to glory of colleague, a comrade, co-patriot, General Muhammadu Buhari, who, as a soldier, he played his role as a soldier. As an administrator, he played his role as an administrator. As a statesman, he played his role as a statesman to the nation. Because at a time like this, we need the totality of the experience and what I may call statesmanship of all those who have had the opportunity to run the affairs of this country in the past to get us out of the situation we are in. He will be sorely missed and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
When I was
President OBJ, former President Olusegun Obasanjo there, paying glowing tribute to the late Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes, yes, a well-deserved one. You know, he called him a colleague, he called him a comrade, he called him a compatriot. No doubt. You know, I was reflecting, some of the things I was reflecting on was when Muhammadu Buhari came, what was his mandate? You know, what was the purpose, different from what was the mandate? And I said the mandate apparently was to stabilize the Nigerian nation after the not so competent leadership of Jonathan.
Good luck, Ebele Jonathan there.
And he provided leadership as a statesman, you know, his stature. Jonathan did not rise to that occasion. And I think he provided that stability. And of course, the issue of Boko Haram too, before the whole thing escalated to banditry, you know. Statesman, yes. Character and dignity, yes. Well, leading Nigeria, well, question marks.
Okay, let's take a listen at the very last presidential speech Buhari, the last presidential address Buhari gave to Nigerians before leaving the office in 2023. Let's take a listen at that too.
This year we witnessed the most keenly contested presidential elections since the first republic, and this demonstrates that our democracy is getting better and more entrenched with each election. We must, as a nation, improve and sustain gains we made in the electoral process on an incremental basis for Nigeria to take its rightful place among nations. Our democracy provides for, allows, and encourages seeking redress for perceived injustices, enabling some candidates and political parties that do not agree with the results to go to court. Irrespective of the outcome of the various cases, I urge all parties involved to accept the decision of our courts and join hands to build a better Nigeria. I salute the doggedness and resilience of all the presidential candidates and their political parties for believing in our judicial system by taking their grievances with the election results to court. In the course of the campaigns, we had argued and disagreed on how to make Nigeria better, but we never disagreed or had any doubts that Nigeria has to be better. As your president, I call on all of us to bring to bear the strengths of our individualism, the power of our unity, the convictions of our beliefs, to make Nigeria work better and together with one spirit and one purpose. To my brother, friend, and fellow worker in the political terrain for the past 10 years, Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I congratulate you on the realization of your dream, which was propelled by a burning passion to put Nigeria among the leading nations of the world. You have indeed worked for this day, and God has crowned your efforts. I have no doubt that your passion for excellence, reliance on competence, fairness in relationships, commitment to equity, loyalty to the country, and desire for Nigeria to be globally relevant would come through for you under God's guidance as you lead our country to levels higher than I am leaving. News to grow as exemplified by notable Nigerians occupying headship and leadership positions in renowned global bodies. Our democracy is built on and continues to thrive on the principle of separation of powers. The leadership and members of the National Assembly deserve my appreciation for their patriotism, which did not detract from their roles as a check to the executive arm. I also want to use this opportunity to express my appreciation to a good number of Nigerians who provided their support and encouragement to help me navigate the exciting journey in moving Nigeria forward. I cannot and will not forget the millions who prayed for me during my illness in my first term of office. I am constantly praying for you and for Nigeria to thrive in peace. As I retire home to Daura, Katsina State, I feel fulfilled that we have started the Nigerian rebirth by taking the initial critical steps, and I am convinced the incoming administration will quicken the pace of this work to see a Nigeria that fulfills its destiny to be a great nation. I am confident that I am leaving office with Nigeria better in 2023 than in 2015. I thank you all, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That was the final presidential speech given by late Muhammadu Buhari. Quite emotional to an extent. So what do you make out of his farewell speech?
That's one of the best, if not the best, I ever saw him deliver. And, you know, down to earth. And at his own pace, the way he does his things. And I pay going tribute to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And like I said earlier, what was his mandate? It was to stabilize Nigeria. And I think after that stability, the mandate of the current office holder is to lay the foundation and you know, for this defective structure. that Nigeria currently stands as. And I think he's probably getting it right. He's laying the economic foundation. There is a need for the political foundation too. Buhari has done his bit. And what pains me about Buhari's death is that he didn't spend many years after leaving office. It would have been good, you know, to see him as, statesman. Striding this space. You know, he's been making a few appearances.
Definitely.
For another at least 10, 15 years. But he's done his bit.
Yeah. And he has gone home to rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Kwamwan there paying his own tribute to the late Buhari. We remember he popularized the Say Baba song then too.
Yeah.
Okay, it's from the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. Before we call it a day, it's been a special tribute to late Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria's GCFR. And before we leave, another huge giant left the scene yesterday, talking about the Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Olukayode at Daytona. He went to join his ancestors yesterday. I mean, double dose of sad news yesterday.
Yeah.
So let's talk about him as a wrap-up.
Awujale, 1960, 26, he became the Awujale.
I remember the picture of his installation then. He was looking so young and handsome then. I can never... In fact, when I heard of his demise yesterday, that picture came back to my mind, and he was looking so youthful and so handsome on the day of his installation as the Awujale.
1960 to 2025, that's 65 years.
On the throne.
On the throne, one of the longest that I know of. And dignified he was on the throne. He faced his own turbulent times. He didn't particularly have a good, warm relationship with the Awoists in that axis of Yoruba land. He was deposed by the administration of Olabisi Onabanjo. He was deposed, but he was returned by a court of law in May 1984. You understand? So he had been deposed. It was a court that reversed it. And remember the days of Abacha, when some Yoruba kings were said to be romancing Abacha and even Babangida before him. But he stood tall. And I remember when Jonathan was going around, in 2015, they were doing about briefcases packed with US dollars. When they got to Awujale's palace, Awujale told him point blank that in Yoruba land, it is not Obas that determine where the people go. It is the people that will tell the Obas that this is where we are headed. Now you lead us. So, and it was, I think that was where Jonathan got the message that Yoruba land was not. In essence, it was saying Yoruba land was not for sale.
So what will the Awujale be remembered for as a wrap-up?
Will be remembered for character and integrity. And leading Ijebu, the entire Ijebu land, to greater heights, to far greater heights than he met it. So he did his bit, 91. Fair deal. by any measurement.
By any measurement. Okay. All right, Comrade Audija Chokwe, thank you very much for your robust analysis on the program today.
Let me add this, the Jebus loved the
Awujale. And sadly, he couldn't attend the last Odude Oba, which was very unusual. That was the first time he would be absent in many years.
Strangely, he was ill. He was ill, his mobility was affected. But in the past few months, until then nosedived again, he was recovering, he was making public appearances, though in motorized chairs and all of that.
Okay.
But he did his bit.
All right.
And legacies.
Okay.
65-year legacy.
All right. Once again, I'd like to say thank you very much, Comrade Audija Chokwe, for
My
giving me
pleasure
the
riding
robust
with you, brother.
analysis this morning. It's been a special tribute for former President Muhammadu Buhari and the Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Olukayode at Daytona. From Solutions 93.9 FM, we pray for the repose of their souls. It's been a wonderful time on the program this morning. We'll be back again tomorrow morning on a fresh edition of From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. My name is Adedamola Lafenwa. Enjoy the rest of the day. Good morning.
La la la. After you bypass that narrow path, send me well to the angels. But after you fled past the borders, send me